Thank you. Yeah, I apologize because you are going to hear some really interesting and in-depth and explorative talks tonight, and this is not one of them. So some backstory for this is I have never played Animal Crossing up until New Leaf because I had a sad childhood. And before I bought it, I wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting my money, essentially, on a children's game I would get 5 minutes out of. So I read a lot about it. And what I found most were guides to getting the most money, or guides to getting loads of furniture, or guides about villagers. But the guides I found about villagers were mostly which ones were the worst and how to get rid of them, which mostly seemed to be people arguing about whether you could beat someone out of your village with a net. Turns out you can't, but it sounded a bit horrible. So I thought, there must be more to them than this. Maybe I can be the one. Maybe I can befriend my villagers and become a man of the people, figuratively speaking, in Animal Crossing. I went about it at first very much the wrong way, because I tried to start with these guys. They are not your friends. The NPCs in Animal Crossing are essentially fortune cookies. There's a set number of phrases that come out, and all of them are almost entirely meaningless. But these guys are ruthless. They will get every single bell from your pockets, no matter how. And at first, I thought I was making friends. Because these guys at the bottom, these lovely, adorable hedgehogs, Lela, Lela, and Lela, Mabel, Sable, and Label. I think she prefers Label. You can actually build a friendship with these guys at the start, but it turns out it's just so you can get a super fancy sewing machine. And after that, they don't care about you anymore. You've spent weeks coming in to talk to her every morning to see how she is, and by the end of it, she gives you a fancy sewing machine that she can't use so that you'll use it to make more stuff that they can do and put on display in their shop. And then after you go in to talk to her again, she's like, hi. That's it. So these guys, do not trust them. Not worth it. So I moved on, and I moved on to the actual villages in my town. And I chose a target, which when you're making friends, I do not recommend using as your word. But my target was Gladys. And I chose her for a variety of reasons, because I wikied her first, obviously. Again, please don't try and make friends this way. If I'd tried to make friends with Gladys in real life, I would have been arrested. But what I found out was that she's a normal type, which means super, super agreeable. You can tell her anything and she'll go, oh my god, me too. You could tell her your favourite food is insects and you'd be like, sounds delicious. She really loves food. The first 4 times I spoke to her, she talked about pancakes, so that's a solid basis for friendship right there. And she looked pretty cute, which I found was less intimidating than the bear I had, who looked like he was about to punch me or shank me in the night. He moved out and I wasn't very sad. So Gladys is my target friend. This is the saddest Google I have ever made in my life. And it was about 3 a.m. and I had to reconsider a lot of things after I did this. But I spent the best part of a full weekend reading about how we make friends. And I had to filter through this a little bit because at first, the first problem I ran into was it turns out children and adults make friends in really different ways. You can sum up children's friendships in, do they live close to you? Do they have a yogurt you like? Best friends. Adults, however, I found seemed to be a bit more needy. So I was filtering through the basics of friendship, I guess. What seemed to come up a lot in the articles I was reading about the psychology of friendship, or the mummy blogs I was reading about how do you have a child and have friends? It's just so hard. And these 3 things came up a lot. You should have some reciprocal altruism. You should give and take in a friendship. And I thought, yeah, Animal Crossing seems to be doing this quite well. I give them an orange, they give me their favourite sofa. It's pretty balanced. Shared interests. Well, we've got pancakes, Gladys. We'll always have that. But But they'll also turn up to events that you do. There's fishing days or insect days, because no one in this village, I called mine Dale, no one in Dale has a job, except me, and my job is essentially a glorified babysitter. So there's lots of social events, and they'll all turn up to that, that's fine. So repeated interactions, yeah, we've got those as well. That's fine. These all sound like reasonable ways to make friends. But when I was Googling how do we make friends, I found the darker side of friendship. Uncertainty, group tensions, power struggles, and most of these were on forums by people going, I love my friendship group, but I feel like I'm not the top tier. I really like my friendship group, but the other day, Mabel borrowed one of my bowls and did not give it back, and I think that was a power play to become the alpha. And I don't know if this is true of friendship, but that sounds dreadful. This sounds like Game of Thrones, the friendship version. And thankfully, I wasn't finding any of that in Animal Crossing. I wasn't finding that I gave a lemon to Kyle down the road and Gladys was 2 days later coming up going, you've never given me a lemon. Do you not love me as much as Kyle? You're off the Christmas card list. That sounded dreadful. So friendship in Animal Crossing seemed like all the nice bits and none of the bad bits. So far, I'm onto a winner. So I'm going to make friends with them, and I'm going to do it right. As it turns out, it's not very hard. Animal Crossing villages have about 3 things that make them just so easy to become your best friend. And the first one is it's practically their job. They are coded, hardwired, physically, biologically ready to be your best friend the minute you give them a butterfly. They want it so badly. The only obstacle to overcome is that you have to say hello first, because there seems to be some social awkwardness in my village where none of them will talk to you until you've talked to them. Even if their house is literally right next door and you're stood in front of them, staring them in the eyes, willing them to be friends with you, Gladys still won't say a word until you do. Their needs are quite minimal. Reciprocal altruism is something we talked about as coming up a lot in friendships, a give and a take, feeling like you can do things for your friends and they'll do them for you. Not that you have to, but because you want to. In Animal Crossing, the need is, I am stood under a cherry tree, and I'd quite like a cherry. If only there was someone who could get me one. Who could it be? You pick them the cherry. Best friends for life. Fine. There are no grudges is the third and finally, I think, best reason it's so easy to make friends with them. I was only trying to befriend Gladys. I threw every villager under the bus to get to Gladys. They were gifting me their favourite t-shirts and I was posting them right to her. Oh, I'd really like a cabinet today, says Kyle, the wolf I don't like. Tough, Kyle, because I've already bought them all and Gladys has them. Her house is the size of a postage stamp, but she's got so much furniture. But they don't really mind. If they ask you to do something and you don't do it, they'll turn up tomorrow going, hey. So I'd quite like an orange today. I know you haven't done it for the last 6 days, but I feel like today is the day. Isn't that a bit of an unrealistic way to maintain a friendship? Yes. I guess the basic answer there is yes. But they do have their downsides. Because if they just did everything you wanted, and they were just really, 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 really friendly all the time and never did anything bad, it would be like the Stepford village. It's a little bit creepy. It's the uncanny valley of friendship. They're just all staring at you with doe eyes going, I love you so much, you're kicking me, but I love you. So they've added in some sort of basic attempt to have downsides. They can move away, which I found out when Gladys, as I thought we were nearing the peak of our friendship, came to tell me, I feel like my time is done in Dale. How dare you? Thankfully, if you say, oh really, I don't think you should, she'll immediately go, well, I'll unpack my things, I'll stay here forever. But you can, if you want, say, okay, well, fine, you move on, that's okay. Kyle. At which point they send you a passive-aggressive letter about how much they loved living here and hope you'll really, really miss them, but then they pack their things and they're gone. It's perfect. They can have illnesses, which means even if you really want to be their friend that day, for some reason they're not coming outside just because they're vomiting all the time and really sad and tired. So they can be essentially out of friendship commission. You can't, for 3 or 4 days, do anything except go and visit them and bring them medicine. But I think, in the name of friendship, that's something we will do. And so I bought medicine every day for Gladys, even though it didn't seem to be working. And at the end of it, she came out quite chipper, never mentioning her bedridden week, clearly already out of her mind. Never a thank you. But that's okay, because we're BFFs, and I forgive her. And they can also be in bad moods. The important part about this one, I guess, is it fails a little bit in them not being the weird, perfect friends, in that they're usually in bad mood at each other and not at you. There's almost nothing you could do to make them in a bad mood, but sometimes it is randomly assigned, and they'll slouch around your village looking grumpy. And if you talk to them, they'll go, "Oh, I'm really grumpy." But that's it. They never really take it out on you, so... And they will express disappointment or sadness sometimes. If they ask you how you think they're looking and you say, "I think you look cute," instead of, "I think you look hot," and they'll go, "Oh, it's not really what I was aiming for." All your clothes look the same. You look the same every day. So they'll express some minor disappointment. But I think all the benefits of the way that the villagers have downsides is that none of them are ever meant to actually hurt you. None of them are going, "You didn't turn up to my birthday party, so I told everyone else in the village that you're a bitch." All that happens is they go, "You didn't turn up to my birthday party. Hey, I like that rock. Let's go look at that rock." There's nothing that they can do that genuinely upsets you the way a real friendship does. And I think in a way that's kind of nice. Because you've got this world where making friends is so, so easy, but losing them is almost impossible. And never, ever, ever does one of these friends, and I am going to use the term loosely because I'm pretty sure 4 of my villagers have said the exact same compliment to me, so I'm not sure now how much they really mean it. But none of them are ever going to do anything to try and purposefully hurt you. So it's escapism in the gentlest way. And I made it. Me and Gladys, as you can see, out at night, romantic walk. I gave her a time capsule that had a banana in it. She gave me a paper lantern, wedding set for March. In the past, we've married, it's done. But it was easy, and I achieved the friendship, and it felt a bit hollow. But it turns out you can super friendship them. And if you go for Friendship Plus, they'll give you a picture of themselves. So this is my new target. But why bother making friends with them at all? And I think that is a good question, because when I was investigating Animal Crossing New Leaf, no one really mentioned the villagers. And the reason was because the villagers are not hugely interesting individually. But I think the experience of the villagers is, because making friends with the villagers is a really easy way to try and understand friendship with zero blowback. No one's going to hold anything against you if you get it wrong. No one's going to be like, "How could you say that to me?" When you've said something like, "Hope you've had a nice day today." No one is going to do anything that hurts you on purpose. Gladys giving me a rubbish bin was quite hurtful. But it wasn't on purpose. It was randomly assigned. And the small, meaningful senses of accomplishment you get when you log in after a week, month, year of not attending to your village, and they give you a friendly wave and say, I've not seen you in a while, that's nice. And you go, yeah, you remember me. I mean, you have to, I'm your save file, but you remember, in your heart, where it counts. And if you've had a bad day, that can be bizarrely and weirdly meaningful. So essentially, this is the training wheels of how to friends. You can practice on your penguins and your goats and your owls. You can say, I'm going to give you a gift, and I'm going to give you a compliment, and I'm going to come to your birthday party, and we're going to be friends. And then I'm going to try it with real people. Please do. Also, you can learn about the crushing inevitability of separation over time, the bittersweet memories of the villagers you should have tried harder to befriend, and the love-flowing letterbox reminding you of all the birthday parties you've missed. Appreciate them while they're there. That's the true lesson of Animal Crossing. Nothing lasts. But I found this quote, and this is from the creator, and I think it summed up, what a lot of people missed about Animal Crossing. There were so many articles saying, it's amazing escapism, you can be a graduate and own a house. And I fully agree, that's very true, but I think the core point of Animal Crossing, other than the slight undercurrent of rampant consumerism and capitalism, is friendship. And it's this bit at the bottom. I think I can point, but I don't know how. Woo! It's this bit at the bottom that was really meaningful to me. That's probably the point which makes you feel that Animal Crossing has this element of encouraging people to be kind or helpful to others. It's not hard to give an orange to a goat who's stood under an orange tree. It's not a difficult task. It's not much of an ask. But if you do that, for 10 minutes every single day, there's going to be a point in real life where someone asks you for an orange, and instead of saying, Tesco is so far, go get one yourself, you'll go, sure. Because you've learned something from Animal Crossing. I mean, I'm assuming you're not all just complete dicks in your day-to-day life. I don't mean to imply that, but I think over time, you do build up an extra sense of empathy if it's something you're doing every single day. Not like a chore, but like optionally. For those of you who read my brief synopsis on the Eventbrite page, you'll notice that my original subtitle was Why I Want to Marry Blathers. And I'm sorry I didn't talk about that much, because to be honest, I did get sidetracked with Gladys. But Blathers, I wanted to point out as being different from all those other shopkeepers at the start, because he's the only one who kind of acts a little bit like a normal villager. He's always in his museum, fine, and sure, you can't give him presents except fossils and insects and fish and artwork, but those are kind of presents in a way. But the thing is that if you donate enough to his museum, eventually he'll ask you for favours, like a friend. He'll ask you, I've got this friend who really wants to open a coffee shop. Don't know if there's anything you can do about that. I'm the mayor, Blathers. I'll get it done. But he's also always available. No matter what time of night you log in to your Animal Crossing, Blathers will be there for you. And in a way, that's the truest friendship of this game. And I love him. Please do not take from this talk that you should replace all your friends with lovely animals. It is vastly easier, but over a long period of time, I will assume very much less rewarding. But what I do encourage is, even if it's not Animal Crossing, even if it's some other game with very simple friendships and very simple requirements, please do spend some time doing something for someone else in your game escapism, because it genuinely makes you a better person, whether you know it or not. And even if it's just giving a banana to Gladys in a time capsule, you'll feel really good about it. I'm done, thank you.